if you're fine, if somebody calls us.
They put me on hold, so we're gonna wait till after services. Well, it's good. It is 6 o'clock and we are all together, and what a wonderful thing. For me, I like to take a deep breath as we sort of welcome in this freshness of Shabbat, the relaxation, hopefully, this joy, this time of family and coming together that we have been waiting for. So now is that moment, and I hope that we will appreciate one another as we begin with Hine Matov, which celebrates that we may be together, virtually but together.
Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
Chesed ibaneh, yadidai, dai, dai, yadidai, dai. Olam chesed ibaneh, yadidai, dai, dai, yadidai, dai. Olam chesed ibaneh, Yadidai, dai, dai, yadidai, dai. Olam chesed ibaneh, yadidai, dai, dai, yadidai, dai. I will build this world from love. Yadidai, dai, dai, yadidai, dai. And you must build this world from love. Yadidai, dai, dai, yadidai, dai. And if we build this world from love, yadidai, dai, dai, yadidai, dai, then God will build this world from love. Yadidai, dai, dai, yadidai, dai. Let's hum the melody. One more time, humming. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam, salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam, od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam.
We begin now with our opening meditation. We live in a very busy world, but we put aside one day every week for rest, and that day is Shabbat. Shabbat is the time that we come together to be with ourselves, our families, our friends, and with God. Let my prayer be to learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. God, we thank you for our special holy day. We thank you for helping us make our lives holy through this celebration of Shabbat.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yadadai, dai, dai. 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 Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Le'olam va'ed. Yadadai, yadadai, dai, dai. 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 Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Borei yom ve'layla, golel or mipnei one more time. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night.
Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. You may be seated if you were standing. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
And the women dancing with the timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song, the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. And Miriam was a weaver of unique variety. The tapestry she wove was one which sang her his story. With every strand and every thread she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she dances toward the light. And the women dancing with the timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. When Miriam stood upon the shores and gazed across the sea, the wonder of this miracle she soon came to believe. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would pass to freedom and march to the promised land. And the women dancing with the timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. And Miriam the prophet took her timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her just as she had planned. And Miriam raised her voice in song, she sang with praise and might. We've just lived through a miracle, we're gonna dance tonight. And the women dancing with the timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. נאמר בקודש, נורא תהילו תוסף אלה, נורא תהילו תוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. A thought has blown the marketplace away. There's a song on the wind and joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. Nine, 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 a thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind and joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. Nine, 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 Adonai tzvatai tiftach uvi yagid tehilatecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imot U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'Neihem L'Ma'an Shemo Be'ahava Melech Hoseh U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham V'Zrat Sarah אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, בחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מחלקי לחיים בחסד, בחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, צומק נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לישני עפר, ויחמוך בעל גבורות, ומינו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני בחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. You may be seated. And you may now take a moment for silent prayer and meditations of the heart. Say shalom bimramav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. 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 Yase shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
So for a story this week, I wanted to share with you one of my favorites, and I hope that because it's one of my favorites, I don't know that I've shared it with you already, and if I have, I apologize, but it's still a good one. I don't think I have. The story is called One Gold Coin, and it's a folktale from Eastern Europe. And it's a story of a man, a very poor man, who found himself on the way to the synagogue, as he normally would go, and he went to pray. But along the way, he came across a pile of gold coins that were laying in the street. Of course, it was Shabbat, and as an observant Jew, he refused to pick them up. And so he left them behind, the whole pile of gold. And so when Shabbat was over, he went back, and it was clear that someone else had come and taken all of the gold, leaving behind only one gold coin. So with a sigh, that poor man took it home and gave it to his wife. Now in the same town, there was also a very wealthy merchant, and his name was Simon. And Simon was just about to set sail on a trading voyage to far off lands when the poor man's wife came up to him and said, please, I have only one gold coin, but I would love to have something from far away. Would you please buy me something with this one coin? And he took her coin with a polite bow and said, of course. But the voyage was very long and it took him to many strange lands. He had completely forgotten about the poor woman's coin until he was ready to set sail for home. When it occurred to him, and he hurried back ashore from the boat and said, hold on, I want to go and I want to buy something for this woman. And the ship's captain said, we can't do it because we're going to have a wind that's going to fail us. We need to leave now. So Simon decided he would buy the very first thing that he saw. And what did he see? None other than a beggar carrying 3 young cats in a sack. Now, for those of you who are sitting there with your cats on your lap, you'll know just how cute those little cats are. And he saw 3 young cats, and he came to the man and said, what are you going to do with those cats? Well, the man said, I have no use for them. I cannot afford to feed them. And if I can't sell them, I just might have to drown them. To which Simon cried out and said, do not be so cruel. I will buy them from you. So he searched, and the only amount of money that he had left was that one single coin that he had that belonged to that poor woman. So Simon gave that money to the beggar and went aboard with the 3 cats. Now, it turns out that there was a terrible storm, and the entire ship ended up being cast overboard. All of the people were taken in by this mighty wave, and they were sent onto a land that was filled with some horrible people, and they hated strangers. And so when they would catch a stranger, they would lock them up in a house that was filled with mice. So the stranger was then left in this room, and what do you know, with his 3 cats, as soon as the door was closed and locked, they soon put an end to all of those mice. Now in the morning, these savage people who had a very bad mouse problem throughout their land came to see what had happened to the stranger, and they found him alive and unhurt, and with 3 purring cats happily by his side, without a mouse to be seen. These people, the savage people, had never seen a cat before. They thought these 3 mouse-killing cats were the most amazing, most wonderful creatures in the entire world. He says, what do you call these marvelous beasts? Cats, Simon told them. We must have these cats, the people cried. Will you take a sack of gold for them? Well, okay, 2 sacks. I don't know, 3 sacks, they cried. 3 whole sacks of gold for your cats. Simon agreed. The crew of his ship had been looking for him, and he quickly hurried off onto the ship with his gold. Now, fortunately, he didn't have any trouble getting home from this point. They were safe, and when he came onto the board and was about to leave, he counted up all of his profits, and boy, even with the storm, it had been a very good voyage for him. But then he remembered the poor woman and her 1 single gold coin. He says, without this coin, I wouldn't be alive. And so he went, as soon as he got off of this boat, straight to the poor husband and his wife. Where did you get to your gold coin? He asked the woman. She answered, from my husband. And where did you get it? Simon asked the man. The poor man sighed and told him how he had found this pile of gold coins, but hadn't touched it because of his observance and his reverence for the Sabbath. And Simon nodded. And he asked, was the pile of gold this big? And he emptied one of the sacks of gold onto the floor. Or perhaps this big? And he added the second sack. He said, I know, it must have been this big. And he emptied the 3rd sack of gold onto the floor. And happily, Simon went his way, leaving the poor man and the woman poor no longer. And as we are about to experience Hanukkah, we know that Hanukkah celebrates the miracle of light. And fortunately, we are fortunate enough to be able to bring light to others who have fallen on hard times. Over Hanukkah, we often talk about coins like this. We talk about our Hanukkah gelt, which is often given to our young children because we want to encourage them to learn to do good with the gelt that they received. The thought is, Let us be the inspiration in such a way as Simon was. A thought for this Shabbat. And at this time, we'll call to mind all of those in our community who are in need of prayers, of strength, of healing, of community. We call to mind Richard Rich, Tom Brown, Jeanette Patton, Charla Davison Gates, Tyler Zeisloft, Pat Bloom, Ronald Epstein, James Hockman, Judith Perlman, Rachel Magdalene, Lorna Kundert, Jan Berman, Gail Russick, Melinda Glovka, Mike Ammons, Helen Fine, Jeremy Wise, Ed Bulin, Harvey Olson, Christine Wagner, Tracy Huddleston, Joe McKenna, Ellen Goodrich, Mark Romanofsky, Jerry McDonald, Richard Lieberman, Joel Pinsker, Ralph Schwartz, Marty Sacker, Laura Holtzinger-Levin, Avraham Ben Avraham Visara, Bob and Gert Kahn, Dave Bussey, Ron Levine, Jay Bainbridge, Chelsea Smith, Shava Eta, Rory Freisler, and Deborah Seidel, and of course, all who we name now in our hearts. Mishaberach Avotenu V'imotenu, Mishivarech V'yirapeh et HaCholim. May the one who has blessed and cared for those who have come before us, for our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel, bring blessing and healing to those in our community in need of blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Rofei HaCholim.
V'yisheverach Avotenu v'kol habracha ve'imotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. V'yisheverach imotenu mekor habracha le'amotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Now ask those of you who are able to please rise and join me with the words of Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latit gidula le'otzei breshit, shelo asanu k'yohei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam gelgenu kahem, v'goralenu kechol hamonam. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. You may be seated.
At this time, we call to mind those who we love, who are no more, who we have recently lost, and for whom we are observing yahrzeits. We are in Aninut for Sandra Brecker, a period of Shiva for Harold Prigozhin, Jerry Butter, and Stan Perlmutter, and a period of Shloshim for Judith Hecht. We are also observing the yahrzeits for Mildred K. Altschul, Jean Bachrock, Pierre J. H. Ball, Rita Begley, Diane Bell, Herman D. Bloom, Louis Brown, Faye Fleece Cantor, Max Kaplan, Samuel Cohn, Thelma Donnenfeld, Charles R. Dorfman, Rosalie Ock Eisenberger, Mardell Friedberg, Harry Gershow, Esther Ruth Goldberg, Dorothy Harlan, Gerald Cantor, Corinne Kussworm, Esther M. Liebensberger, Howard Lubeau, Jacob Mayerson, Pearl Paul, Esther R. Ross, Marguerite B. Russlander, Rosa Shadle, Ira H. Schatzley, Sydney Shane, Sue J. Silverman, Jacob L. Simon, Rose Stein, Irving Stein, Patricia Thompson, Max Weiner, Jamie Jo Weprin, Carrie Yasinoff, Ray Zappin, Esther Zissin, and all who we name now in our hearts. And I invite those who are remembering or in mourning to please rise first. And we as a community join you in community and love and strength as we rise as well for the words of the Kaddish. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shmei Rabbah, Be'alma Divrach Chirutei v'yamlich Malchutei, B'chayechon v'yomechon, Uvchaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uvizman Kariv v'imru Amen. Yehe Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Le'olam U'lalmei Almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal, Shemei Dekudsha Barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru Amen. Yehe Shlama Rabba min Shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru Amen. Osei shalom b'mrumav, huya asei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru Amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories always and only be for a blessing. And please join me for the closing prayer. You don't have to unmute, but you can. We thank you, O God, for our family and for what we mean and bring to one another. We are grateful for the bonds of loyalty and affection which sustain us and for the capacity to love and to care. Bless our family, our congregation, our country, and our people with health, happiness, and contentment. Above all, grant us the wisdom to build a joyous and peaceful home in which your spirit will always abide. Amen.
Sometimes I lay under the moon and thank God I'm breathing. Then I pray, don't take me soon, 'cause I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars and our children will play. One day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. It's not about win or lose, 'cause we all lose when they feed on the souls of the innocent. Blood-drenched pavement, keep on moving though the waters stay raging. In this maze you can lose your way, your way. It might drive you crazy, but don't let it faze you, no way, no way. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't wanna fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. One day this all will change, treat people the same, stop with the violence, down with the hate. One day we'll all be free and proud to be under the same sun, singing songs of freedom like why oh, why oh, 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 why oh. Life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't wanna fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day.
I invite those of you that have candles and wish to join me in lighting the candles and saying the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. And for those of you who have some fruit of the vine, please join me in the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav Shabbat kodsho ve'ahavu zonin kelanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikrai kodesh zechel yetziat Mitzrayim kivanu b'chata ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha ve'ava uvratzon Inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat L'chaim. L'chaim.
Scott has become the regular challah maker in my family. He's made another one. It gets better every week, right? It's looking like real challah. So thank you, Scott. So Grant, why don't you lead us in our bracha?
Absolutely. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon.
I love that I know that's exactly when my children are going to come in the room. It's their favorite part.